All right, welcome, guys. This is Breakfast with the Brand, the number one podcast in the world for entrepreneurs and leaders who want to go from bland to industry leading brand. If you tuned in live, go ahead, put your flames in the chat and let us know where you're listening in from. All right, guys. So I want to send a quick shout out. I see we have Mr. Bobby Jackson. So shout out to Mr. Bobby Jackson. He says, phenomenal morning, brand team. Phenomenal morning to you. We have Shade. So Grand Rising. Okay, Shade say Grand Rising greatnesses. Thank you very much, Shade. And I have one other person there. Guys, unfortunately I can't see you, but if you could put your name somewhere in the comments, I'll be happy to shout you out. All right, so there we are, Bobby. Bobby's coming in from North Carolina. All right, guys. So this morning we want to talk a little bit about branding, right? And I want you to help me make this interactive, right? By putting your questions or your comments in the chat. So I want you to think about, in fact, I want you to answer this question. What is a brand? So go ahead, put that in the comments. What is a brand? What is your definition of a brand? Let's see. I'm going to give my definition in a minute, right? But what is your definition? I know we have some people who've been tuning in for quite some time. People like Bobby, people like Shade. What is a brand? What does it mean to you? Let's get a couple answers. Now, while we wait for those answers to come in, I'm going to say a word. The name of the word is vision. So when you think about a brand, you think about your vision. So what is your vision? A brand to me, all right, so here we have an answer from Mr. Bobby Jackson. So Bobby says, the feeling you leave when you exit a room. And he has the branded like a leader hashtag up there. To me, a brand is the vision for your business. In fact, your vision, who you are at your core, expressed in the form of a business. So businesses could be brands. In fact, businesses could not be brands, but all brands are businesses. There's a difference. Now, I have with me, in fact, Shaan will be coming in a minute, but let's get those answers coming in. So Bobby says the feeling when you leave the room. All right, somebody says, brand your own vision for your business. Very true. Very, very true. Brand your own vision for your business. Guys, today we're going to be talking about branding. We're going to be going just a little bit deeper on the subject. So what I'd love for you to do is to have your questions ready. When we come back from this very short break, I'll be bringing in Shaan and we'll be talking a little bit about branding, more specifically, branding yourself as a leader in your space. So guys, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile. He's just a very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Shaan Rais. I'm proud. That's Shaan Rais. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. What you're looking at right now is the new face of leadership. I chose to go the route of SOE, standards of excellence. So I help people put zeros behind their numbers. I help people move up in or out of their organization and get paid their annual income monthly, their monthly income weekly, and their weekly income daily. I promise you, if you follow me at all, you're gonna wanna use something to write with. CSA first. CSA. Clarify, simplify, and amplify. Clarify, simplify, and amplify. It starts with a decision. Who do you want to be and what do you want to do? Who do you want to be? You have to define that. If you don't know, then it's vague and it'll never be clear. The problem that we have is clarity. We walk into an organization happy to be there, happy that they accepted us, but we don't have a clear goal. That's why people stay in the same organization year after year after year, go to the same vacation spots with the same people and talk the same amount of nonsense around the same water cooler. So when I go into an organization and someone says they've been here for 20 years and they're still around $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, I'm like, whew, it's chilly. It's a little bit cold when I know that all it takes for you to raise your prices, whether it's inside or outside of an organization, is self-belief and dedication. Brand you and not what you do. So when I meet people, I ask people, tell me a little bit about yourself, and they immediately tell me what they do. That's not who you are. Branding is who you are. Marketing is how people find out about you. So when you say, I'm a photographer, you just lumped yourself in with a million other photographers. What's special about you? Why should I work with you? I don't need a hand with a camera. I need a man with a story. A woman with a goal, a vision. Someone with an idea of what they want to be and who they want to impact in their lives. That's what moves me. We know where we belong, whether we're in that seat or not. We heard the word legacy and we were pulled to come. I flew in last minute. Let's go. Leadership, legacy, love. Whew, I gotta be there. So what happens in marketing is when you say, I am you put yourself in what we call a red sea. You're now fighting against a million competitors with a million different things. Clarify, who are you? What do you stand for? And then simplify it, don't make it 10 things. Bruce Lee said, I do not fear the man who has thrown 10,000 kicks. He says, I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. You can have the most mouth-watering steak that the world has ever seen, but if you try to position it or place it in a vegan neighborhood, you make no money. Who are you trying to market to? Sometimes we don't support each other. Sometimes you got to go outside of your community, outside of your neighborhood, outside of your phone book to find someone who will support you. So if your business is hurting, think about the place that you're trying to move, whatever it is that you're moving, and the people that you're trying to sell to. You want to become the OVO. The OVO is the only viable option in your vertical. The only viable option in your vertical. We're not here for competition. We're here for domination. We're here for domination, period. And if you feel differently, you're probably in the wrong room. Is anybody ready for the fifth one? Are you ready for the fifth one? Might want to capture this. Might want to capture this. For God's sakes, man, your prices. Your prices. We should stand out because of price. Some people look for the lowest price. You're making a big mistake because you're defining yourself. Your success comes from mindset and perception. If you're competing over the lowest price, there's a problem. Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands. Train people. I'm going to leave you with this. We train people how to treat us when we meet us based on how we treat ourselves. Brand you and not what you do. Thank you.
All right, all right. We are in the building. We are in the building. I was just backstage talking with Bobby about the impact of branding. So, guys, the dimension shifted. I had to shift everything back. Thank you so much for holding it down, Junior. I greatly appreciate that. Bobby, what has been, if you think about your journey, what has been the first thing that you had to do in order to get the brand right? When it came to branding, what was the very first thing that you did?
The very first thing was going deep in my story. I remember when we were doing that exercise. It was branded like a leader. I can say this now, 2021, branded like a leader. We were going into it, right? And at that time, I didn't know why I was in business. I didn't know why. I knew what I was trying to do. I had an idea of who I wanted to serve, but when it came to my brand, when it came to expressing the business, personifying the emotional and electrifying aspects of what I do and who I am, I had no idea. So one of the first things I had to do was go deep in me, who I was as a child, who I was as a young man, who I was as an individual, and then what I wanted to be. What was I trying to create? What was I trying to change in my industry and in my community? So that was one of the first things I had to do. I had to get clear on me. I had to get clear on what I was trying to do, who I was trying to be, and where I was trying to take my business, my brand. And that's really how it started for me. It started with getting clear on me.
Very good, very good. So I actually had a nice little speaking event yesterday, right? So I was speaking at KAG, so the King's Accountability Group, and this is shepherded or handled by a phenomenal brother by the name of Terrell Muhammad. Right, guys? So King's Accountability Group, absolutely phenomenal group for men only, right? And one of the things that astounded me and just really made me feel very good about the group was everybody that spoke had a mission statement. Everybody that spoke had a mission statement. So I know you probably remember when we did the mission statements. So everybody had a mission statement and a vision statement. And before they spoke about their vision, and they stated their mission statement, guys. This is so important when it comes to being intentional and deliberate about building your brand. So everybody had a brand, but there was still a little bit of unclarity about how to apply the brand into business, how to bring the brand into the business piece, right? So we want to make sure that everybody's aware of the importance of your values. That was one of the main things that I really drove home. Values, what values mean and how they show up in your business. Guys, you operate by a specific set of principles. Everybody watching this has a principle base. There are belief sets. For me, it's leadership. Leadership is the trunk. Leadership is everything. It's the foundation upon which all else stands. So you wonder why, the leadership leverage, and then high performance consulting, and then branded like a leader, coaching like a leader, speaking like a leader. All of it. And one thing that I broke down for them, and I'm gonna break it down for everybody here right now, is that leadership, branding, and character development all have the same 4 table legs, if you will. Right? So branding development, leadership development, and character development all require 4 linchpins, 4 main linchpins. Self-awareness is number 1. You have to be self-aware. Number 2, self-regulation. Once you're aware of your nuances, you have to bring them into alignment with your goals, your purpose, and that which you say you believe in. Absolutely imperative. Number 3, emotional intelligence. So not only, and this is why we use the leadership chess test and help everybody to understand not only how they would like to respond or be perceived, right? Because there's how you would like to be perceived, and then there's actually how you are perceived in the marketplace, in the workplace, everywhere else. People are wondering, like, I've been here for 10 years. Why haven't I gotten a promotion? It's because the way you're perceived. You see yourself as extremely valuable. You see yourself as indispensable. You see yourself as the best thing under the sun since sliced bread. But those who have the power to actually promote you and enhance your positioning within the marketplace see you differently. Right? So we have to be aware of the emotional intelligence piece, a little bit of personality awareness, and know, like, that comes with self-awareness. When you know yourself, you can know others. How other people would like to be catered to, responded to, spoken with. All of these things are extremely imperative when you want to be seen as favorable, a leader, build your character, and build your brand. And then finally, and I find that this is the hardest part. I know it was the hardest part for me. Authenticity. Authenticity. Now, when I say authenticity and it being the hardest part for me, I want you to understand what I mean. There are certain belief sets and value sets that you probably had since you were younger, 14 to 28, that served you very well. Survival, respect, based on where you come from. There's a certain belief set, certain mannerism that is your authentic self. That's your authentic self. But sometimes our former authentic self doesn't match with our future authentic self and our desires, our goals. It doesn't match. It doesn't correlate, right? So what's good for one area will destroy you in another. And then you say to yourself, Bobby, you say, well, I got to keep it real. I got to keep it real. I got to be 100. I got to be me. I can't let nobody change me, box me in, right? So I understand it completely. And that was one of the things for me that took me so long to get to shift and to come into the forefront and really come into the people's awareness, because it was like, hey, how do I bring this kid from 145th Street into this $1 billion brand that we're building now that caters to leadership development and business development the right way? What does that look like? How does it fit? How does you fit a circle into a square? Well, the way you fit a circle into a square is you gotta polish your edges. You gotta hone your edges. You gotta tone it down sometimes. Very important, guys. Very important, because if you're unable to do this, then you'll find yourself in a situation where you don't really fit. We talk about market to mess. We talk about the match of your message to the market. But if your message comes from where you come from, maybe 10 years ago, it might not be a fit for where you're trying to go. And that's the authenticity piece, honing and defining the authenticity and being able to bring your authentic self to a new market, new set of rules, new situation. Huge, huge. When I break this down, people are like, it's hard to understand sometimes how branding, leadership, and character development all share the same 4 major components. What do you think about that, Bobby?
I think that's deep. And it's deep because I don't know how many people have taken leadership seriously. And I have an advantage. You know, I do have a decade plus of military experience, which forced me
Mhm.
into leadership. And I'm also in business school, which requires us to take leadership courses in organizational and behavioral management and all these different things. So when you talk about this intersection between leadership, branding, and character, I can almost put technical terms next to them, such as Fielder's contingency model, and how those, for those that don't know what that is, he was talking about how, so Fielder's was a individual that studied leadership. And one of the things he studied with the contingency model that he designed was that at different spectrums, you have different situations and personality types. And these personality types fit well for certain situations. And I think when we think about leadership, branding, and character and authenticity specifically, we have to think about, are we contingent? Is the version of leadership that I'm exemplifying at this stage of my business contingent with where I'm trying to take my brand? And that, ladies and gentlemen, was something I struggled with as well, was the keeping it real piece. When I shared this before, I'm an economist, you know, like in school, we're studying models, calculus, we're doing forecasting, and we take pride in it. We take pride in it. We want other people to know the stuff that we know. We want other people to know the late hours that we put in building models. But the thing was, that wasn't contingent with what my market wanted or what my market needed. And I think one of the things that many of us can benefit from when we're understanding leadership, branding, and character is understanding how to properly perceive our situation, which is what you could call politics, the politics of the situation, and also understanding how you fit into the overall landscape. And that's what branding has done for me. That's what being a student under Shaan Rais has taught me, is not just about what you do. It's not just about who you are. It's not just about who you serve. It's not just about how you serve. It's so much into doing this right, which is why I say what I said, in the sense that I don't think enough people take leadership seriously, and I don't even think it's by choice. I don't think that they intentionally neglect leadership. I think that it's so under taught, it's so overlooked that very few people know why their businesses fell. And I think that one of the biggest reasons is the lack of leadership and the lack of brand position.
Wow. Wow. The lack of leadership and the lack of brand position. So I just put something in the chat, guys, and I'm going to put it up here too. I wrote a book about the phenomenal leader. Now, what Bobby's talking about is contingencies. This book came out 2021, 2022, maybe in the beginning of 2022, maybe to the end of 2021. Listen, guys, we push so much content and so much value, guys, that it's amazing sometimes, even to myself, right? I don't sweat the small stuff, right? The big stuff is the impact that we give to you. It's the transformation that you incur. That's the big part. That's what I focus on. The small stuff, putting out content all the time and publishing books and speaking on stage, just flying around, like that's the small stuff for me. For other people, that's the big stuff, the making of the money and, you know, how many stages have I been on? That's not the big stuff for me. The big stuff for me is you getting the message. You getting the message in any way, shape, form, or fashion. This is why we speak. This is why we put up slides and templates and, you know, presentations when we do our lives. This is why we write books. This is why we publish. This is why we have a YouTube channel. One of the main things that I did, based on what Bobby's speaking on, and situational leadership, is because you can't have one style of communication. You can't have one style of leadership. You can't have, as a CEO, you have to be, write this down, guys, multifaceted. You can't have one face, because everybody doesn't see the same things. Everybody doesn't hear the same things. Everybody has their own filter. So when you speak, you want to become almost ambidextrous with your lingual.
Now, ambidextrous is being able to use both hands, right and left-handed. It's also represented by the right and left hemisphere of your brain. When you communicate, you want to do it. You want to have an analytical component. You also want to have an artistic or creative component. And we're going to go a little bit deep into this. The Phenomenal Leader is a book that I wrote with 31 different styles of leadership. 31 styles of leadership in there. And the reason I did that is because, and let me tell you how it's a field manual for leaders. It's a leadership field manual. It was intended for you not to read the whole book, even though you could read the whole book in one setting. It's actually a compendium. So there's 2 books inside the one book. So there's the Phenomenal Leader, and then there's Executive Coaching for Leadership Development. Executive Coaching for Leadership Development. It's how to start your business in leadership. If you're a consultant, if you're a speaker, if you're getting clients, all of it, the paperwork, everything is there. Your contracts, everything is there within the second book, Executive Coaching for Leadership Development. But the first half of the book, the Phenomenal Leader, is what I want to talk about real quick. I put in there 31 styles of leadership. I wrote it in the month of January, 31 days. It is to be digested, a leadership style a day, a style a day, transformational, transactional, situational, military, parental, maternal, paternal. There's so laissez-faire. There's so many different styles of leadership, but if you only have one, then you're limited to one style of communication. So when different situations happen and when you're dealing with different people, you only have one kick. Imagine that. Imagine getting into a fight and having one punch. Just one. Right cross. Just one punch. Right cross. You know what happened if you only had one punch right cross? No matter how mean it was, they would tear your ribs up under the punch. Right? You would, because you have to be able to defend yourself, and you have to be able to assert yourself, and you have to be able to be assertive in your communication with people, in your leadership style. Everybody's not the same. Everybody's not the same. And this is, we're talking about branding still. We're talking about your brand. Your brand has to be variable and amenable. So we work with leaders who want to turn their leadership, their education, experience, and expertise into impact, income, and independence. Now, let me explain where this comes in. People say, okay, Shaan, you work with leaders. Phenomenal. But I'm just starting my business. How does that work for me? You know how that works for you? We did Branded Like a Leader with Branded Like a Leader Academy. So through the Branded Like a Leader Academy, you can do what someone like Siobhan Patrick did, which is come in as a beginner, not really knowing anything about branding, having a credit repair business, and starting to make $20,000 a month in less than 60 days. My communication changed. My leadership style changes when I work with different people. And if your communication and your leadership style does not change when working with different people, then your brand is limited. You become a one-trick pony, and you become easily forgettable, really. Easily forgettable, Bobby, because you can't adapt. You understand? Like, you can't adapt, and no one can really expect different things from you. You got one trick. So right. Because, yeah, it's amazing. Now, let me ask you, how does that play into the whole disruptive innovation piece?
That's so deep, because everybody wants a team, but very few entrepreneurs that I meet are ready for their teams, ready for leading the teams. Everybody wants help. And in the disruption and innovation space, speed is everything. And your team is how you get speed to the market. Like, you're moving by yourself as fast as you can, but when you're trying to branch out, do more things, reach more people, the coveted word scale your business, you need that team. You need that team. So the power of what you're breaking down right now goes a lot into culture and brand for me, in my experience with building a team, because culture is another one of those things that you just don't know until you know. I want to break something down for the audience really quickly about teams and how leadership and branding is so important for your team and why you as the CEO need to have it first. So when you're building a team, there's 5 stages to team building that we learned. These are technical stages. So you've got the forming stage, you've got the storming stage, you've got the norming stage, you've got the performing stage, and then you've got the adjourning stage. So I'll touch very briefly on these 5 stages and show you.
Hold on, Bobby. Hold on. No, not yet.
Not yet. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, because that brings a lot with it, guys. So listen, you're getting, I hope you understand the value that you're receiving right now on this call and why we say that we give you more for free than you get for a fee. We'll be right back. Share this out, guys. Do not listen. I am not the best kept secret ever, but don't make yourself the best kept secret. Let people know where you are, what you're doing, and why. Let people understand who you are, what you listen to in the morning, and why you perform the way you do by sharing this out. We'll be right back. This is going to be phenomenal. Bobby's about to break down something that I learned in organizational development for change maybe 6 or 7 years ago. However, it's even more pertinent now as you guys are entering into the business stage and you're able to build your own organization and your own brand around you. Wait till we get back. I can't wait to hear it.
Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Shaan's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Shaan is the bomb.
I don't talk theory. I don't talk hyperbole. I don't talk opinion. Nothing I talk is anything but evidence-based.
During the G Circle retreat in Atlanta, I had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Mr. Shaan Rais. He will not only impact your organization, but he will elevate your team to another level.
When you change you, when you put you into the equation, the whole system is different. I guarantee you, you got the right thing. You are the right person. If you can present yourself in the best way possible, there's no negotiation.
His energy is infectious, and I have so many takeaways from the presentation that I can't wait to get started and implement them today to see the result.
All right, Bobby. So go ahead. I'm about to make the stage yours, right? And I want you to talk to those 5 stages and then reference the book, because I know the. Are you going to reference the book, The 5 Dysfunctions?
I didn't plan to. To reference the 5. If you can come in, help me out with the 5 functions, I'll hit the 5 stages.
Okay, very good. No problem at all. We're about to let you take center stage and go ahead and speak to this.
Mm-hmm.
Get ready, guys. Get ready for this.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is about to be absolutely transformative if you can get a hold of this, because everybody's trying to build their teams, and for good reason. You can only do so much by yourself. So when we're talking brand and we're talking leadership and how you need these elements and concepts and capacities, even competencies to build your business, this is why. This is why it's absolutely instrumental. Stage 1 of building your team is going to be forming. And in the forming stage, you're getting everybody together. This is normally the fun stage. This is where you're meeting people. Depending on where you're at in your business, you're accepting resumes. You're going through, and the resume part isn't always fun, but you're finding out who's going to be a decent fit, at least what you think. Now, the reason you need to be a strong leader, a strong brand during this phase is because you want to be looking for your MVPs, your morals, your values, your principles, and you need to be able to find them in the resumes and during the interview process. Some of us think that we're just going to build a team by slapping people together, getting some VAs from around the country, and it's going to work phenomenally. I've been there. I've done that. It does not work the way you think it does. If they don't share your morals, if they don't share your values, if they don't share your principles, and you bring them into the forming stage and you push them through this interview pipeline, what you're going to find in the storming stage is a whole bunch of storms. A whole bunch of storms. And that's stage 2 of building your team. The storming stage is friction. It is confrontational, but it does not have to be dysfunctional. There is functional conflict and there's dysfunctional conflict. And during the storming stage of building your business, if you're a strong brand, if you know where you are as a leader, you can then express your leadership into the storm. You can inject your leadership into the storm so it becomes the perfect storm. There should also be an eye of the storm, as I have learned. When you do this right, there should be chaos on the surface and calm at the base. Calm at the base. And as you're building your team, as you're developing yourself as a brand, think to yourself, who do you want your customers to engage with? What type of experience do you want your customers to have? And I really need you all to think about this, because who you bring into the team and how the team functions as a unit is very important to how the experience is going to be perceived, right? So the next part is the norming stage. And unfortunately, very few people get to this stage because they aren't able to get past the storming stage. They bring people in, the people don't work well together. There are problems that go unresolved, and this is the worst. A problem is benign for a while, it goes unresolved, unseen, and then you get into the norming stage and it becomes a norm in your culture. It becomes a norm inside of your business, and that's the last thing you want. So when you know your brand, when you know your leadership style, the 31 styles, ladies and gentlemen, you got to get your hands on it, because there are different styles that work for different people. And knowing what normalizations you want within your organization are going to be crucial. They're going to be crucial. And then as we move into the last 2 stages, the stage that everybody wants to get to is the performing stage. But no one performs well without an effective culture. And culture is one of the things that it's hard to teach. It's hard to teach culture. Like, you have to experience culture. You have to feel culture. And when you come to morning calls like this one, when you're with the $1 billion brand, you're experiencing a culture. Ladies and gentlemen, Shaan Rais has not brought anyone on here that I have seen yet that does not look professional, that does not speak professionally, that does not have a degree of business insight within their industry. Why is that? Because he has a culture, because he has a brand. And all of us want to be the Jeff Bezos. We want to be the Elon Musk. We want to be the folk heroes of business industry. And the only way you get there, ladies and gentlemen, is by managing your team. And the performing stage is when you guys perform as a unit. And lastly, very important, the adjourning stage. The people that you have in the family stage might not be able to go with you to the village stage. And those in the village might not be able to go to the city. And those in the city may not get to go to the nation. And the reason your brand and culture need to be phenomenal is because some people will be a part of bedrock. They will have big roles in the family stage. And if you don't have the ability to convey through leadership that these people are not being obsolete, but being moved to a position that is more effective for the new stage of development, you might come off as a user and abuser. You used me when you needed me, and you discarded me when I was of no use to you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what you don't want to be. I had those experiences where I had someone on the team that just could not perform anymore at the level I needed them to, but I didn't want to discard them. I had to lead them to their next position. And ladies and gentlemen, you're here to learn those leadership tactics, those leadership insights, those characteristics that are incumbent of all great leaders. Thank you.
Guys, put your takeaways in the chat. Put your takeaways in the chat. This is the book that I was referencing. I had to go ahead and grab it. I had to go ahead and reach out to the library, right, and actually grab the book. guys, I tell you over and over again, there is no hyperbole here. There is no pontificating. There is no faking. Like, you can't fake a 4-year degree. You can't fake a 6-year degree. You can't fake $1 million business. You can't fake that. It's not possible, right? And you can't fake years and years and years and years of study. Years and years and years and years of study is where you get your success from. That's where you get your thought leadership from. A lot of people want to call themselves a leader, but what are they leading? What are they leading and where are they leading to? So this book here is a phenomenal book on the 5 dysfunctions of a team. It's done by Patrick Lencioni, who is a very, very well-read leadership and team development thought leader himself. When it comes to team building and organizations, Patrick Lencioni is one of the most widely read, and it's for good cause and good reason. This book and more like it from the gentleman is referred in business schools all across the world. And it's funny, when Bobby started talking about the norming and the storming, I said, oh, that's the 5 dysfunctions. It's the 5 dysfunctions. And he's talking about Patrick Lencioni. So I just wanted to grab it from the library and show you guys, because everything that we do here is evidence-based. Everything that we do here is evidence-based. So that book will give you 31 keys. Every situation in your business requires keys. If your profit is locked, the phenomenal leader will give you a key to unlock your profit. If your communication is locked, then the phenomenal leader will give you a key to unlock your marketing. It takes a different, okay, so let me give it to you an example, in an example story. In an example, you have an employee that's not showing up on time. You have an employee that's not showing up on time. They're not doing their due diligence. Their tasks are not being performed accurately. They're starting a lot of things, not finishing anything. What style of leadership do you use to find out what's going on? If you use an autocratic style of leadership, if you use a transactional style of leadership, you're going to say, I'm paying you for X, you're supposed to provide Y. Where is the Y? That's transactional. A coaching style of leadership is going to say, I noticed that your performance has taken an interesting turn. Have you noticed that? And they'll say whatever they want to say, and then you'll just say something like, tell me more. This is an interesting turn of events. Let me know how you see it playing out in the future. More inquisitive, more facilitating their own arrival at the aha moment, as opposed to autocratic, which would say, homie, or get in my office. That's autocratic. Transformational would say, I think you're taking an interesting turn here, and I'm sure that you're going to turn it around. I can't wait to see what you do in 2 weeks from now, because I've noticed a dip in performance, and I know that you've got something, you're holding something, and the reason why you're doing it, it was brought to my attention. And the person who brought it to my attention said, hey, so-and-so isn't performing at the level they're supposed to. And I, with all of my faith in you and your prior performance, I told them, no, Linda, no, wait, trust me. Bobby's got something under his hood, and he's doing this for a reason. So Bobby, I just can't wait until I see the turnaround and what the purpose was. And when it's done, just let me know why you did it in the first place, so everybody else will calm down when they notice that dip. And now Bobby's like, oh, they're on to me. I got to turn this around. But the key is the coach believes in me. It's not a question of, he told me I get paid this, I have to produce that. He didn't say,
He didn't care about what's not taking place or what's taking place in the resources. He didn't offend me. He didn't pull me up in front of everybody. He kept it to the side. And, you know, it's going to be a position where he's motivated, inspired, and pulled to perform. There's a difference between the pull to perform and the push to perform. And this is all about your branding. Listen, guys, you have a speaking brand. When you open your mouth and you speak, you have a speaking brand. When you coach and you help people, you have a coaching brand. When you work with other people and you, how do you say, employ, you have an employer brand. What is your employer brand? What is your leadership brand? And is it one way or is it multifaceted? Because I guarantee you that if you've got one key, Eric Thomas told me this a long, long time ago. He's like, Shaan, you got keys? Because I communicated one way. I was very harsh, you know, in my development stages. He said, Shaan, you got a key ring? Let me see your keys. I put up my keys. I gave them to him. And he was, I don't have my keys on me now. I should have. You know, we do everything organically. So I don't know what we're going to talk about and which way the conversation is going to turn. But watch this. He took my car keys and he said, what key is this? I said, that's the key to the car. He said, okay, what key is this? And that was the key to the house. And he said, okay, what key is this? Now I have a couple different security lock boxes, right? So I said, that's the key to the security deposit box. And he showed me the same one. I said, that's another security deposit box. He said, oh, you got a lot of security deposits, huh? I said, yeah, I do, right? So that was a funny little joke there. But he said, listen, guys, and he did this for the whole room. He said, listen, guys, you don't use your car keys to get into your house. Real simple. Real simple. You don't use your car keys to get in the house. And you don't use your house keys to get in the car. Because if you do that, you're going to have two situations. One of them, you're going to make a fool of yourself. Number two, you're going to make a mess. And you're not going to have any progress. So when you're trying to unlock your performance, very important, guys, pay attention. If you're trying to unlock the performance of an underperforming employee or client, you do not use the same key or style of leadership that you use to drive profit. Two different situations. We're talking about situational awareness here. Situational awareness and situational leadership. Go ahead, Bobby. I see you got something.
I've got something on that one. That was powerful because in my line of work, we're compensated based on our ability to get our clients results. And some of you all might be in that very same position. If you are in a position where you're working with clients and the more money you can make your client, the more money you make for yourself, I need you to understand you have to lead your clients to success. You have to lead them to financial prosperity within their business. For us, we lead them to financial success, revenue stability, and profitability on the scenes of disruptive innovation, getting a new product to the market and then leveraging that product in the market. But the biggest takeaway that I want everyone to understand is that the leadership starts with you and it's within your organization, but you also have to lead your clients when you do this right. And I have found that clients came in able to pay. Actually, I'm gonna use myself, for example. I was led by Shaan Rais. And when I came into Branded Like a Leader, I had a revenue potential cap. Like the amount of revenue that I could generate in my business and in my life was capped at my competencies. It was capped at my worldview. It was capped at my ability. But through leadership and guidance, coaching and education, he was able to step me up different ascensions in my business, in my worldview, in my family life, and in my overall presentation and expression in the marketplace. And it was that stepping up as a man, as a businessman, as a father that allowed me to increase really put a zero behind my number, no exaggeration. So I really wanted to hit on that because some of you all have clients that are paying you $500 a month right now. The only difference between the $500 a month that you're getting now and the $5,000 a month you could be getting is your ability to lead them to the next stage. If you can do that, I'm telling you, I'm living proof. I was only able to do XYZ because I was only ABC. The moment you help me get to EDFG, let's go. Let's take it to the moon. I want to go too. Your class want to be as wealthy as you want to. Help them.
So this is what we're talking about, guys. And I love the way Bobby put it, using himself as an example, right? He's able to invest at a higher price point because he's at a higher price point. His own business has seen success to a specific number. If a person could only pay you X, that's fine. Work with them and help build their legs. A lot of people are top heavy. They do their chest and arms all day. They love the bench. They love the curls because that's what the girls see, right? So they say, I'm going to do the bench press and I'm going to do the curls. I don't have to take off my pants but what happens around beach time and you're supposed to wear shorts. Now it looks like you're riding a chicken. Now it looks like your business is riding a chicken. So you know what that looks like? A whole bunch of sales and no profit. A whole bunch of doing and no results that you withhold. You're making a whole bunch of money, but you're keeping nothing. You're making a dip, but it's all you. There is no team. There is nothing under the hood. It's a proverbial Trojan horse of a business. Sound good, look good, whole bunch of noise. But when you say, I can help you do X, you fail horribly because you haven't really mastered your craft. You're trying to get money. And that's why I said anybody can get money. Who can get success? Anybody, like I always say, and I said this from the very beginning, meaningfulness over money, people over profit, value over valuation. If you help people succeed, you'll get a higher fee. Most people are saying, I got to get what I can get now. I got my phone on my head. I got my car on my head. I got my house on my head. I got to pay this stuff off, right? And you never want to lead from a position of lack. You never want to lead from a position of lack, because when you lead from a position of lack, or when you try to lead, because you're not leading yourself anywhere but to purgatory, you're not leading anyone but yourself, and the place you're leading yourself, you don't really want to be. So watch this. When you try to lead, when you attempt to lead from a position of lack instead of abundance, you end up with anxiety. Instead of financial abundance and peace and financial freedom, you end up with being frantic. So that's when people say, I'm fine. You always know who's doing it because they always say, I'm fine. I'm fine. When you're speaking to them, they always say, everything's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. The reason why they say I'm fine is because they don't have any money to invest in anything. And they just say, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. But fine, I have found the word fine tends to mean frantic, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. Frantic, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. Because if someone asks me how I'm doing, I am absolutely phenomenal. How can I be of service? We use expletives. We use large words to define how we are. We don't use small, closed doors. Like most people close doors with their responses. Like, I'm here. I'm fine. That means almost leave me alone. Like, don't go into my stuff because it's a wreck and I'm mad. I can't handle it and I'm about to explode. Go ahead, Bobby. Add a couple words to that because we're about to get out of here. I know we've over-delivered when it comes to the leadership, but I want you to understand that your leadership is your brand and your brand is your leadership, and both are you. And that's why I showed you in the very beginning that they both hinge on the same components as character development. And you never want your talent or your skill, so-called skill, hopeful talent, to take you somewhere that your character can't sustain you.
That's Enough to close it out right there. That's enough to like close it out right there.
Good stuff. Guys, listen, I hope you were enough of a leader of yourself to grab that book, man. I gave you a gift when I wrote it. I didn't even know what I was doing when I wrote it. I'll be honest. Like, I wrote this unknowingly. Sometimes, like, higher powers use people, and I was used. I was used. I don't feel misused, but I was used strategically. What I wanted to do was, I knew leadership and had a deep competency in leadership, but I was known as a coach. Very important. How do you want to be seen? You have to curate and direct the articulation of your brand. Everybody should write that down. You want to curate and direct the perception and the positioning of your brand. So I was known as a coach, but I said, I got to move into the leadership space. So I chose to write an article a day on leadership on LinkedIn. So it would publish. And when you Googled me, it would pop. And you could make my name synonymous, Mindshare. You could create my name synonymously with leadership. Shaan Rais, leadership. Shaan Rais, branding. Shaan Rais, speaking. Shaan Rais, coaching. Shaan Rais, marketing. Leadership, all of them, the underpinnings. The underpinnings are leadership. Anyway, I said, this is my goal. This is what I'm going to do. A lot of you have goals. You don't have a plan. This is my goal. This is what I'm going to do to get it. So I wrote an article a day on LinkedIn. Different styles of leadership, articulate leadership, paternal leadership, maternal leadership, strategic leadership, military leadership. All this 31 I chose to do it in January to start the year off and have one for every single day of the month. So you could read 1 page a day for a concurrent year. And by the end of the year, when something happens, you automatically have the key. You automatically, subconsciously have the key because you've been reading this leadership field manual every single day for 365 days. Watch this. 3 months down the line, I said, okay, it's time for me to come out with the second book. It's time for me to write the book. I began to write the book. I got to about 10 pages, Bobby, until I had the aha. I wrote the book. I'm writing a new book, and I'm doing like 10 pages. I get to 10 pages, and I'm like, Shaan, you just did this. You just did this. Mm-hmm. I went back to LinkedIn, got all of the articles, compiled them. I had half of the book. I had a book, but I said, hold on, that's not enough. Because this book gave you the what. It gave you the leadership styles to use, but it didn't have the deployment. It didn't have the how to apply them or what to apply them to. So I went back into my college work where I got the degrees in organizational development and change and industrial and organizational psychology, which is the science and motivation of performance in leaders in leadership development and organizational performance. I know I just said a lot. You might have to rewind that and watch it again to understand everything I just said. But I took all of that course content, all of that work that I did, getting the 2 master's degrees, and I put them together. So you've got the phenomenal leader and you've got the executive coaching for leadership development. So you've got the what and the how in one book. And it's at that link. Hey guys, listen, you can't lead in a vacuum. You must have the capacity to back up your confidence. If you don't have the competence to be the bedrock, like using a word Bobby used, if you don't have the competence to be the foundation and the bedrock of your confidence, then your confidence is not assertiveness, it's arrogance. Let's grow. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the Breakfast with the Brand. Now listen, guys, I hope you paid attention to this one. This is one of those things you're going to want to save, download, share out, because this is a masterpiece when it comes to building your brand and making sure that it's a substantial, sustainable leadership brand. Let's grow.